This is Todd Munson from Premier Therapy, and we're here to take a minute and a Premier Minute, and we want to remind you that we here at Premier Therapy are thankful. It's Thanksgiving this week, and we want to remind you that we are thankful to God, our country, and for the blessings that He has bestowed upon us, just like they did on that first Thanksgiving. Today I want to give you some hints of how to make a Thanksgiving less painful. And usually it centers around the kitchen. So I'm going to give you some hints on how to prevent back injury, back pain from occurring, and maybe to help you have a better Thanksgiving. So let me show you. Always good to have a warm-up. Just like an athletic event, they always stretch and strengthen so that they don't injure themselves. Let me give you a few hints. So before you start your day, you get up in the morning, and before you approach the kitchen, get in a chair, and you might take your back and arch it up, and then round it out. What that does is that allows the joints to go through a full arc of motion without putting a lot of strain on them. And I would suggest you doing that, rocking forward and backwards in a chair, 10 to 15 times. And that loosens the joints up. Once you get the joints loosened up, I always recommend that you do a few sit-to-stands from your chair. As you do that, it allows you to get the muscles stretched and blood into those muscles before you start doing any lifting there in the kitchen. So I would do 5 or 6 reps in this manner. Once you get the back moving and sitting, again, flexion and extension, and do a few squats, a best thing to do is to start doing a few back bends. Not pushing it, not causing pain, but just going back in a limited range. That allows the spine to move before you start doing any bending. I would also do some side bendings to either side, 3 or 4 times to the right and 3 or 4 times to the left. That gets you ready to get into the kitchen and start cooking that turkey without causing back pain. 2 things on Thanksgiving that I can remember. Number 1, we had to give thanks. And just like that first Thanksgiving, we gave thanks to God Almighty for His blessings. And then the second best thing that I loved was the kitchen. In that kitchen, Grandma always had an oven, and she always had typically a turkey and she had a ham. So to prevent back injuries from occurring, typically most of us want to just bend over, pick up turkey, pick up the ham. But more important than that, after we have opened the oven door, is not bending. And that's why we did the squats from the chair, to strengthen our back, to strengthen our legs, to use it functional. So when we're going to put the turkey or the ham in the oven, it's squatting down, pulling out the rack. Once we get the rack out, we want to get close to the turkey or the ham. It may weigh 20-25 pounds. Keeping it close to us, straddling the oven door, and squatting down, placing the turkey on the rack, and then scooting the rack into the oven, stepping back and raising the lid. That way we avoid doing the bending that many times can place abnormal strain on the back, on the muscles, on the joints, and cause problems. Then when we get done, whether or not that turkey's been cooking all night or a few hours, the reverse is important. Again, we're going to keep the back in a good normal position, squatting down. And there's a couple of options when we pull the rack out. When we pull the rack out, many times there's a lot of water, it's hot, and it's unsafe. There's 2 options that we can do. I recommend that if you have nobody there to help you, and you do not have enough strength to pick the turkey up from the oven, that you get a couple of chairs close to you. One for you to sit in, and one for you to put the turkey on, so that you can transition from a low level to a higher level in steps. So many times I have a patient would sit down in a chair, pull the turkey out close to them, again having the hot pads, and sliding it onto a chair close by. This allows you not to bend over, and number 2, to be safe so you don't trip over the oven door. And once the oven door is closed, then you can slide the second chair out, squatting down without bending, and lifting it then to the top of the stove versus trying to have a long lever arm straining your back. Now, if you don't have enough strength, and that is difficult, I recommend a second option. When the turkey is still in the oven, and you do not have enough strength to lift the turkey, placing 2 chairs beside one another, and placing a bowl close to you. At that time, cut the turkey or the ham and take pieces at a time and putting them in the bowl. That way you decrease the amount of weight that's in the tray before you lift it to the stove. Again, that allows you to break down the amount of weight, decrease the amount that you have to lift, and keep it safe. Okay? So from Premier Therapy, on behalf of Premier Therapy, Todd Munson wishes you and your family and this nation a blessed Thanksgiving.